Goo may be the most versatile gadget in the game, but also the goo barrels on the map are phenomenally valuable when you learn to utilize them to their full potential. One of the best uses of goo today is using it to launch cash outs into better defensible positions for your team. The steps are rather simple. With a standing up cash out and the area cleared of where you want it to go, just run at the cash out with a goo barrel, jump and throw it as you get close, and if you get the timing right, it will launch the cash out. One of my favorite uses for the held goo barrel is to use it going into combat as a miniature riot shield. Enemy bullets and projectiles will hit the goo barrel most of the time instead of you, causing it to popcorn out and provide you a momentary window of invulnerability from the goo. If you walk backwards while doing this, you can get it to expand into a full wall to allow yourself even more protection. Additionally, you can see I shoot the button for the wall to protect myself from a grenade. Another great use that you'll see often used within World Tour at least is putting a jump pad on top of goo. Because goo is circular, you can place the jump pad pretty much at any angle radially around the goo itself and get yourself phenomenal jumps to anywhere you want to go, especially when low gravity is on. You can always play behind a goo barrel instead of opening it up beforehand. Let it sit right in front of you, and a projectile like an explosive barrel will hit the goo barrel and expand out, giving you a fresh wall of goo. Whereas if you would have had it already deployed before, that red barrel would have done tons of damage to it, making it much weaker than it is now. You can also use your own primary weapon to expand goo just by blowing up the barrels if they're on the ground. This can be super useful in situations where you're caught out in the open and may be eliminated otherwise. Just shoot the goo barrel to provide yourself some cover. You can use goo to sweep off cash outs on moving platforms. You just have to position the goo so that it interacts with the cash out as it's going by on the moving platform. If you have somebody who's using goo grenades pushing your cash out steal, position yourself a little bit away from the person who's stealing to be able to block the goo from expanding onto them and stopping that steal. Other really simple uses for goo is to create little goo ladders by stacking a couple of goo barrels on top of each other and using that to climb to a spot you don't otherwise have access to. You can also do this in big buildings where there's a lot of windows and floors. Just angle the goo right outside the window a little bit, use it as a jump up to get up to a higher floor. You can use this goo tech to climb pretty much anywhere at any time. It just requires you to make sure that you have the height right for you to be able to climb on top of it, and that opens up your ability to climb to areas that you might not otherwise be able to. If you do want to knock the cash out over, you can do so with goo. Just throw the goo near cash out and it will knock it down. Goo gun gives you much more control in where the goo is going to go, allowing you to do things like breaching into a side of a building where the enemy's least expecting you. With goo gun, you can breach anywhere at any time with only a few goo ledges created. You can use goo gun to create climbable surfaces as well if you need to get up to a high place in a short amount of time. You only need one piece of goo to create a ledge that you can climb onto, so create them with a little bit of height between each of them and you'll be able to scale anything in no time. You can also protect your cash out and yourself by using goo gun at your feet or at the enemy's feet when they're close to you. This will protect you from damage and prevent them from eliminating you and/or prevent them from stealing the cash out. You can also goo gun zip lines to prevent enemies from using a zip line. They'll go up and bump their head on the goo. This is really useful for separating teams. In case of emergency, if you see a goo crate in the air, just shoot it with your weapon to drop goo down and get yourself some cover. There will be a couple additional free barrels that come out, as well as the ones that automatically deploy that you can use to get different angles protected for yourself. The indestructible AC units that take tons of explosives are actually easily destroyed with a single goo barrel. Just cause the goo to expand right next to the AC unit and boom, it's gone. Goo expanding will do enough damage to a red barrel to cause it to blow open and create a hole for you. You can also throw goo barrels into the air and shoot them while they're in the air to popcorn the goo barrel itself and drop it down to the ground. This will give you the ability to create a bit more of a dynamic piece of cover as you can melee to move the popcorn to goo. And it's especially helpful in low gravity. You can move at a pretty good distance just by meleeing it a few times. And then lastly, for goo tech, if you're really in a pinch being chased by some teams or worried you're going to get shot from behind when you're running the vault, you can throw the vault at a goo crate to cause goo to come down. It is a risky play, but something you can do if you want to. Moving on to map tech, there are numerous invisible ledges on Sol that you can use to either prevent yourself from falling off the map or even climb up to different locations by using those ledges. In this case, on the corners on the inside of this building have invisible ledges that you can use to climb all the way up to the top. On the construction variant, where there's normally a zip line, you can also just window climb to the top here. You don't actually need that zip line. On Kyoto, you can shoot through the paper windows. You can also heal through them and steal cash out through them if you want. Anywhere there is a straight zip line from one building to another, you can use that zip line to get onto the roof by jumping at the end of the zip line. This window to roof jump is extremely hard to get, but it is totally possible to make it to the roof from this window. You can throw objects through these latticed windows, or the windows that have the slats in them. Anything will now go through them. These used to block projectiles, but now they do not. When this room divider is here, you can use it to jump up a floor, which can be super helpful for getting away from enemies. There are multiple different ways that you can climb stairs in this game, depending on the type of staircase that you have. On Monaco, the best way to climb stairs is really just to melee out the railings as you go. It allows you to cut the corners and get up the stairs much faster than just running around the railings would. For staircases that have these metal railings, you can actually use these to jump up the floors, which is much faster than taking it straight up or meleeing the railings out like you saw in the Monaco clip. You can use stair climbing to your advantage in game by cutting off a runner that doesn't know how to stair climb, or chase down the last remaining enemy on a team. On Cis Horizon, you can use the blocks on this wall to jump up to this height spot that a lot of people normally use a zip line or jump pad for. You can actually use the zip lines under glass to get up on top of them. You don't need anything special for it. Just jump at the right time at the very top of the zip line. On Fortune Stadium, you can window jump all of the windows in the back. You can go up and or down. Up requires the use of the box. Without the box, you can't make that jump. Inside the hotel area of Fortune Stadium, you can use the railings to jump up a floor and onto the roof as well. This works anywhere within the hotel space. It just requires you to jump on the railing and then into the roof. You may be surprised to learn that your accuracy on zip lines is actually much better than you probably think, so don't be afraid to fire at enemies while you're on zip lines. On Monaco for suspended structures, you can actually just use this lift to climb up to the suspended structure. You don't need a movement mode for it. A lot of players don't know, but you can actually make this jump across this gap onto this other building. Most players know about window climbing, but I don't see as many knowing that you can also balcony climb. As long as the railings are still there, you can balcony climb all the way to the roof. And additionally, if you didn't know, you can actually window jump from a normal window to a balcony as well. You can actually climb the cathedral in both the front and the sides, all the way to the top. Climbing the windows on the side take a little bit more precision, but once you find that precision spot, it's actually very simple to do consistently. And then lastly, for Nozomi Citadel, you might be surprised to learn that there is value in picking up the TVs and hiding with them against the TV walls. Teammate understands the assignment here. Unfortunately, we didn't have anyone push us, but in this next clip, here I am hiding with the TV against the wall. Enemy has no idea I'm there. And that's it for me today, y'all. Thanks for watching.